Good afternoon, everybody. Pigskin Pete here. Happy Thursday to everybody. Thanks, everybody, for coming in and joining with me on this Thursday afternoon at an ungodly time to stream because I'm an old married man with kids and I can't stream past 8 o'clock because, well, yeah, you get it. Anyway, but thank all of you. And so, listen, there's a lot to talk about today. Yesterday was National Signing Day, which, let's be honest here, the real National Signing Day occurs in December, and then, you know, the one in February is just like mop-up duty, right? You know, when the quarterback comes in at the end of the game, they take out Tua or they take out Trevor Lawrence. This is mop-up duty for rankings. But let's just go through the top 25 of the rankings, and some of these teams are exactly where you would think that they would be. And some of these are shocking for the better or for the worse. Also would like to hear anybody who wants to call in from any team, any fan base, and give me an idea of how happy you are about your recruiting class. Are you disappointed? Let me know what players in particular you're most excited or most disappointed that you didn't get or did get or whatever. Before I do any of that, real quick, I do want to mention the new, and I said I would do this, the new Patreon member contest from now through March 1st begins today. Well, actually, it began on the 2nd of February, but from February 2nd through March 1st, anybody who signs up for the Patreon page will be entered into this month's Patreon contest for another $50 Visa card. The last winner last month was Catfish from the Volunteer Roadshow, my boy, and he'll be getting his $50 Visa card within the next year. I promise he will. I'm just kidding. Anyway, also the Super Chat contest, which runs from last month all the way through March 1st, already has a lot of people in line for that. And I'll go ahead and list them really quickly. NASA CGI Snakes, Alan V, Tiger Nation, Billy Dawson, Catfish, Hound Dog, DeAndre Crawford, not Dondre, Small Vol, and NMD TV. So thank you to all of you, and thank you to all the future Super Chatters, and good luck to all of you. So let me get into the chat real quick, and then I'll check and see if anybody's on the phone lines, because I'm super excited to hear from some of you guys about how your team did. And I'm going to go through the top 25 today. This whole show is going to be pretty much dedicated to National Signing Day, rankings, and fans. Now, if you guys want to talk about something else, I've already seen a couple things in the chat here. That's fine, too. I mean, listen, when you call in, it doesn't have to be about National Signing Day. I mean, if you want to talk about how you bought the newest Honda mower and it mows your grass amazing, I'm down with that, too. We can talk about Honda mowers if you want, even though I don't own one. Let's see who's in the chat here. George, good afternoon to you, George. I'm sure if you're here, you're amazing and fantastic. Hound Dog is in the house. Alan V, good morning, Pete and friends. Well, good morning, Alan V. Florida Gator BCS 2014 says, go Gators. First time being in the top 10 recruiting for the first time since 2014. Wow, I did not know that. This program is moving in a great action chomp now. Yeah, and that's one of the ones I did want to talk about was Florida. Debo says, hey, guys. Hello, Debo. How you doing? The Entertainer talking sports. Hey, me and the Entertainer talking sports and Bad Dog, or maybe, I don't know. I know you guys have your own channels, but you do a lot of collaborations. Looking forward to working with both of you guys, whether it's on a one-on-one basis or as a collaboration. Either way is fine with me, sir. You're doing great things over there, sir. Keep doing what you're doing. Big fan. I try to tune in when I can. But like I said before, I'm an old man. I can't stay up past 9 o'clock, sir. I mean, I wake up about 4 a.m. And so when people stream at 9, people want to collaborate at like 9 and 10 o'clock at night. And I'm like, I'm already into my third sex dream by then. I mean, come on, man. I'm just kidding, though. But I can't wait to link up with you guys. Ramon Jordan. Pete, you're on your way. Well, I'm on my way somewhere, sir. I don't know exactly where on my way to. Some would say the penitentiary. Some would say the poorhouse. Others would say the crazy house. But I am definitely on my way somewhere. You're definitely right about that. I can't believe your age. Yeah, so you want to know my secret for how I look so young, for how old I am? Number one, have a lot of sex. Sex definitely makes you younger. Okay. Also, I don't know if you know this, but alcohol is a preservative. It acts a lot like embalming fluid would in a dead person. So if you keep your liver saturated with as much alcohol as possible, it will keep you from aging. So that's free advice. Yeah, you're welcome. Pete, how's the weather down here in South Carolina? It's 75 degrees in Knoxville. Heaven. Yeah, it's 80 degrees here today. I mean, you see my skinny guy guns, right? I actually am wearing a short sleeve shirt on February 7th. Showing all the ladies what I got here. Anyway. Sex with yourself doesn't count. Well, it does count, number one. But number two, I'm married to a smoking hot blonde, and I don't have to worry about that, sir. I know you're jealous, but it's okay. But thank you, Robert Zerth. Let me check and see if anybody's on the phone lines here. And if I can get out of this thing. I have the computer literacy of a 3-year-old. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that my own 3-year-old has more computer literacy than I have. So it's amazing I can even put the show on at all. It's really a minor miracle, to be honest with you. And all that for nothing. Still nobody on the line. Does somebody want to call in and tell me? Anyway, while I'm waiting on a phone call, here's what I'll do. While I'm waiting on a phone call, I'll go ahead and run through this top 25 ranking list. And I'll give you some of my thoughts on some of these teams. So, number one, Alabama. Is that a shock to anybody? Not a shock to me. Last year, Georgia was number one, and Alabama, I don't know, what was Alabama last year, like 3 or 4? Anyway, Alabama's Alabama. It's not hard to recruit to Alabama when you're Nick Saban and you have a punch bowl full of championship rings, and you walk into these people's house, and it's that easy. Yeah. Anyway, Alabama number one, Georgia number two. Now, who was I arguing with? Arguing is not the right word. Let's just say debating, right? Because when I argue, I argue with my wife and, like a gas station clerk, but I debate with other people. And I was debating with somebody on a live stream during the Super Bowl. It was, who was it? My good friend and moderator, DeGoat Watson, I was saying that Georgia was a top 5 program, and he was saying, how can you say they're a top 5 program? They haven't won a championship since '80, and they didn't win their own conference last year, and this and that. And look, this is what top 5 programs do, okay? They recruit in the top 5, in their case, the top 2 consecutive years in a row. Georgia is definitely a top 5 program. Some would say even higher than that, and they are showing it on the recruiting trail. So there's no doubt about that. Let's see. I got a phone call on the line here. I'll get back to my ranting and raving in a second. Let's see who's on the line here. Good afternoon, you're on with Pigskin Pete. How you doing today?
What's going on, man? How you doing today?
Hey, who am I speaking with?
This is Ramon, Category Live, Hurricane fan.
All right, man. How you doing? So, what you want to talk about?
Recruiting, the excitement to run the program for us, but still, I'd be lying if I said I was ecstatic about the recruiting class we got. I know you're ecstatic about yours, obviously. Y'all been kicking doors down for a few years now.
Yeah, Clemson finished 10th, and people would look at Clemson's ranking and say, national champions, they've been in the playoffs 4 years in a row, won 2 national titles in the past 3 years. 10 is
but the numbers are skewed because they're all high star guys, but it's small class.
Yeah, well, you're exactly right. And what they do is they pluck 1 or 2 5-stars every year, but it's always they always hit on the 5-stars, and then they rack up on 4 and 3 stars, and they turn their 3 stars into star players. So it's player development is what it's all about. But as far as Miami goes, though, yeah, listen, what'd you guys finish? 32nd?
Oh, yeah, 32nd.
All right, 32nd. Yeah, that is definitely disappointing. Now, I understand when you have a late exit at the end of the year with Mark Richt, and Mark Richt wasn't, quite frankly, recruiting that well anyway, but some of the people that he did recruit backed out whenever he retired or got fired or whatever it is. And you have Manny Diaz come in there. And I do think, listen, with all the stuff that's going on YouTube, Miami is full of so many YouTubers that it's funny. I mean, it's a good. I mean, that just shows how passionate your fan base is. Miami's got a lot of YouTube makers out there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But listen, I mean, you still got to be disappointed. But I do think, in all honesty, that Manny Diaz is a great hire. He's a local guy. I think he really cares. He's young. That's another thing. I'm a huge proponent of young coaches that have a vision and a will to build something, something of their own. That's exactly what Dabo Swinney did. That's what you see Scott Frost doing at Nebraska, places like that. So, I'm a huge believer in Manny Diaz, but I still do think, though, that Miami is probably 2 or 3 years away from making any noise. I mean, now, listen, the ACC is weak right now, and the ACC Coastal in particular, which is the division that you're
in general,
that you're in, you might be able to
one of the worst in Power 5.
Yeah, but y'all might be able to make some noise this year. Luckily, because of the division you're in, but what you're going to go up against is Clemson eventually. Even if you do make it to the
right.
ACC title game. And let's be honest here. I mean, I'm sure you know it, and I know it. You're just not anywhere close to Clemson right now. You know what I mean?
Oh, and in all honesty, no. I mean, and the thing about us is, we're in a division right now. We're in one of the weakest divisions in Power 5. I think the ACC is probably going to be back on its way up shortly, but as far as division, the Coastal is just terrible. And I know for us to even start to even think that we're back, we can't just beat the teams in our division. We got to beat them. It has to look a certain way. You know what I mean? You can't just be getting by a Duke and say you're on the cusp of something.
Yeah, definitely. And you just hit the nail on the head, man. So last year, or not last year, but last offseason, the SEC had like 8 head coaching changes, like half the conference, right? And you saw that pay off. You saw that pay off this year in their conference. And I think you're going to see the same thing. I'm really excited about some of the schools that have hired coaches in the ACC. Obviously, Paul Johnson.
In particular.
Yeah, Paul Johnson retiring was the best thing that could ever happen to the ACC and Georgia Tech. And I think they made a great hire. The Louisville guy, obviously Bobby Petrino was a loser in life and in football. And so thank God he left. And I think they made a great hire. I think that Miami made a great hire. So I think that like you said, the ACC is definitely on the way up. It's not going to be a really quick elevation to the, up, but we're on the way. And so listen, if you've been listening to me for any amount of time, man, I'm an ACC guy, and I'm not so much an ACC guy as just I like to see the conference we're in do well and be respected. I think it helps out every team. It definitely helps out Clemson if the teams they're playing are relevant. So, but I agree, man. I think that I think Miami is they're headed in the right direction for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know what? The good thing about Satterfield, Diaz, and trying to think of the guy Jeff Collins at Georgia Tech. They're all energy guys.
Yeah.
You need that youthful exuberance in the program. I mean, I love Mark. I appreciate some of the things. Well, I appreciate a lot of the things that Mark really did for us, but it just the dryness and dullness from a day to day, it was a bit much for me. Yeah,
and I mean, Mark Richt was. He's an interesting character because of the longevity that he had at a place like Georgia and the amount of games he won there. I mean, that goes unnoticed. He won like an average of 10 games a year for many. I mean, he had a lot of 10-win seasons, and that's not easy to do for any coach. But I put him in the same sort of category as like a what's the guy? Les Miles. Right now, Les Miles won. He won a national championship. That's not Mark Richt didn't do that.
But he had 2 losses.
Yeah, but Les Miles was that guy that could win 10 games a year, but he was just old school and wouldn't change his ways. And that's just, I mean, college football is in a transition right now, and teams like Clemson, teams like even Ohio State with this new hire with the young guy Ryan Day. Kirby Smart at Georgia. Right. I mean, there's so many great programs with great young coaches, and that's the way it's going. The exception to the rule right now is Nick Saban, because he's not a young guy, but he's Nick Saban. I mean, it is what it is. So I mean, he is the guy right now that everyone's chasing. But But yeah, I agree completely. I think that the younger coaches that have a vision and the energy to try to build a program, that's where it's at right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, and the thing about Mark Richt also is, I think Mark Richt was still stuck on the fact that at the time when he was an offensive coordinator at Florida State and when he took the job at Georgia, he was cutting edge. So I think maybe his mind, he still sees himself as that cutting edge, first of a generation type of OC quarterback guru. But I mean, he didn't adapt, in all honesty.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. I mean, he fit the time that he was at Georgia perfectly for the type of offenses they ran and just the whole culture around college football. But things have changed, man. And what you see people like Nick Saban doing, even though he's old, is he changes. And a lot of these older coaches don't change, like Les Miles and like Mark Richt. So, yeah, you're right, man. It's just, I mean, and I've been preaching this forever. I mean, when Dabo Swinney got hired at Clemson, everyone was scratching their head, including me and a lot of other Clemson fans, because nobody knew who this guy was. He was like a 36-year-old guy at the time who had never coached in college football, and we were tired of being mediocre. We were tired of winning 7 to 8 games a year, and we thought that we were a sleeping giant. We knew we had the fan base and everything in place, the boosters, the stadium, the whole 9 yards, the culture, the tradition of everything to be a powerhouse. We just needed that guy, and luckily, we got that guy now. And so that's what every other team like Miami and even Georgia and some of these other teams that haven't won a title in a while, that's what they're chasing right now, is to get somebody like that. So I think Manny Diaz very well could be that guy. We'll find out.
Oh, yeah, but we need to be thump our conference as much as these other guys thump their conference. Because, I called on Uncle Lou not too long ago. I couldn't big us up too much. You know what I mean? I pretty much said it was Clemson. That was it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to say that we're going against competitive competition week in, week out. But yeah, man, I love the show, man. I'll tune in from here.
All right, man. I really appreciate you calling it. Hey, call back another time too. We next time some Miami news comes out, I'd be happy to hear from you.
All right, definitely, man. Have a good one.
All right, man. All right. So that was a great call there. And again, I hate to beat a dead horse here, but that's how you make a phone call, people. You don't call in and wait online or on hold for 2 or 3 or 10 minutes or whatever just to say some insane stuff. The guy knew what he wanted to talk about, and he talked about it. And we had a conversation like a couple of adults. It's not hard, people. I promise. It's not hard. Anyway, while I'm waiting another call here, where did I stop here? I stopped on Georgia. Georgia at number 2. A great recruiting class by Georgia. Number 3, Texas. Now, this is the second top 5 recruiting class from Texas over the past couple of years. I think Texas was number 3 or 4 last year as well. And they still got to get over that hump. They haven't won the Big 12 in a long time. I know they're all, really high on their high horse right now because they beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. But look, winning the Sugar Bowl against Georgia is great. Go ahead and celebrate. Go ahead and say horns up from now until the cows come home. Not just the proverbial cows, the real cows in Texas, if you really want to. But here's the thing. You can't beat your chest until you win the Big 12. All right? So, but I'm a believer in Tom Herman. And I think he's got that thing headed in the right direction. And the recruiting class shows it. Number 4. Now, look, this is where nothing makes me happier on YouTube or in life, but definitely on YouTube, than when I'm right. And I'm right about Texas A&M. Go ahead and write it down. What's today? January. Sorry, not January. I'm living in the past, Back to the Future style. February 7th, 2019. Remember this, that Pigskin Pete told you that Texas A&M is going to become a top 5 program in a hurry, and they're already on their way to doing it. And it's only a matter of time because Nick Saban is no spring chicken. Listen, he might stay there 5 more years for all we know. Good. But there's going to come a day when Nick Saban retires and hangs it up at Alabama. He's not going to live forever. He's not going to coach forever, okay? Unless this guy ends up like Bill Snyder and coaches till he's in a friggin' wheelchair on the sideline, which I don't think is going to happen. Texas A&M is going to be the team in the West that everybody's chasing. Now, a lot can happen between now and then because the team that's right behind them at number 5 is LSU. And I just got done telling you how right I was about Texas A&M and how I'm going to be right about Texas A&M. But I'm also humble enough and not a complete egomaniac, even though I really am, that LSU surprised me more than anybody this year. I made so much fun of LSU, and come on, is it not? I mean, that's low-hanging fruit, isn't it? Making fun of Cookie Monster Orgeron is, I mean, it's every YouTuber's dream, including mine. But the fact of the matter is that he's done a much better job there than I anticipated that he would do, and now he's continuing to recruit at a high level. So, listen, I eat crow when I eat crow, and I'm eating crow like a mofo on LSU and Ed Orgeron. So great recruiting class by LSU coming in at number 5 nationally. Number 6, Oklahoma. No shock there. I mean, quite honestly, that's right about where you expect them to be, right? Between 4 and 6, no higher than 8. So they're right where they should be. And we'll see what happens with Hurts next year. But Oklahoma's Oklahoma. They run the Big 12 right now. Number 7, this is another one that I'm going to beat my chest about, that I've been telling you about. Oregon is my dark horse to make the college football playoff next year. And you could say, well, how is that a dark horse? They got Justin Herbert. Well, I'll tell you why it's a dark horse, because they haven't made the college football playoff since was that the very first year they had it? 2015, 14, whatever. But Justin Herbert's coming back, and they have a top 10 recruiting class. They signed the number 1 player in the country, and Mario Cristobal is absolutely killing it out there. Now, they have to go through Washington, and that's really their only competition. The Pac-12, as bad as the ACC is, the Pac-12 is even worse. If that's even possible, it's possible, because just look at the Pac-12, all right? I mean, it's Oregon and Washington are good, but not great, right? Yet. And everybody else. At least the ACC has one great team and a bunch of good teams. The Pac-12 has a bunch of bad teams and 2 good teams. Maybe 3 good teams. Something like that. Number 8, Michigan. Right where I thought they would be. I'm not going to hate on it or congratulate it. That's where they should be, and that's where they are. Number 9, Florida. Florida. Coming through. Who was that in the chat? Let me get out of here real quick. Let me go back in the chat. Anyway, somebody said when I first came on here, yeah, I want to give credit where credit is due. Definitely. Oh, look, and by the way, now that I log back into YouTube, I see I have 3 super chats. You guys are killing me with kindness. The Entertainer Talking Sports. Let me put you down. With a $2 super chat. You argue with your wife and gas station clerks. Yes. Exactly. That's exactly what I do. I would like to say that I do argue with my wife a little bit more frequently than I do gas station clerks, but gas station clerks are right up there on the top of the list. Volunteer Roadshow. Where's Catfish at? Catfish, you already have 20 entries, sir, into the Super Chat contest. He just added another 10 out of nowhere. That puts you up to 30. This guy's trying to win every contest I have. Catfish. Come on. You already know how much I love you. Spot me a penny. No, I'm not going to spot you a penny. You get 9 9/10 of an entry for that. The hell with Texas saying we're back. My Vols are back. I promise you that. Well, I'm going to get to Tennessee in a second. Just hold on, sir. But thank you. And Spencer from Rover Sports gets added to the contest. Spencer. Show is awesome, Pete. Mario is a beast. What is the Pac-12? I don't know what the Pac-12 is, but I have a lot of experience with 12 packs. Not the same thing. But listen, drinking a 12-pack is a lot more entertaining than watching the Pac-12, in my experience. But maybe that'll change. And Oregon, I think, can make the Pac-12. What's the Donald Trump thing? Make America great again, right? Maybe, just maybe, Oregon can make the Pac-12 great again. We'll see. Anyway, coming through with a $15 super chat. That gives you 15 entries, my man, into the contest. Spencer, you are the man, sir. Thank you. Yeah, all this love you guys are giving me. I lost my place, lost my train of thought, and that's not hard to do. I have the memory of a cockroach. But I think I left off with Florida. Let me and I'll get right back into that in a second here. Hold on. Let me see some other people in here. Nick Monroe, Hound Dog, Ryan Reedley, Tiger Mack, Lee Smith in the house. Lee Smith, I don't know if I've told you this. I think I have. I don't know if that's your real name or not. But every time I see your name in my chat, it creeps me out just a little bit, and it's not your fault. My late great brother-in-law, who passed away, I guess it's been like 5 or 6 years ago now. My sister's husband, his name is Lee Smith. So whenever I see your name come up in the chat, I mean, I don't know if you're a real guy or if he's like trying to talk to me, like, you know, like a ghost through YouTube. Creepy. Anyway, what? See, you I lost it. I lost my train of thought. All right. Anyway, so let me go back and see if anybody's on the phone here. If not, I'll get back into my my rankings here. Oh, I got 2 callers on. So I got. Listen, I'm going to answer the one that came in first, and the other guy, Big D, a Falcons fan. Big D, Falcons fan. Hold on, sir. I'll get to you in just a second. I'm going to take this other one first because it came in first. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
What's up, Pete? It's Boilermakers Forever.
Hey, what's up, Boilermakers Forever? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great based on yesterday.
Yeah, and I didn't even get to that because I've only got through number 9 in the rankings so far. But Purdue came in at number 25. And before I give you my feelings on it, go ahead and tell me how you feel about it.
Oh, this is great. I mean, you know, we've hovered around 70 for the past couple of years, mostly because of Hazel not being able to recruit. And then Brown comes in and he immediately impact, signed Rondale Moore, so he got big signings, and his production has really helped us kind of sell Purdue to recruits like in-state wide receiver David Bell.
Right. So, well, first of all, I think the most important thing for Purdue is the fact that they were able to retain Jeff Brom, and he did not leave to go back to Louisville. And you told me he wouldn't, and I didn't believe you, sir, but you were right. And that just goes to show you that I'm not always right about everything, just in case you were wondering. See, that's radio silence. All right, it was a joke.
Yeah. So basically, I think what Purdue should be most excited about is that we finally have pieces that are not only explosive but can help Rondale Moore out because. You know, defense is going to key on him, but if you got multiple great wide receivers, then you can't just key off on one guy.
So let me ask you this, because I and this is something I really don't know. Okay, so that's why I'm asking you. Where did Purdue do in the recruiting rankings, say last year, maybe the year before that? I mean, about what have they been averaging over the past few years? Their ranking.
Past few years have been last year was 70th.
Wow.
Or 2017 was 70th. 2018 is probably a little bit higher.
Wow.
Yeah, 2018, the first full year that Brown was there, we were 51st, but before that, we hovered around 70.
So yeah, man. Listen, I believe you. I mean, hell, you know more than I do. I did not know that, but if that's true, which I'm assuming it is, I mean, you guys should be super, super stoked that you cracked the top 25 for the recruiting class. That's unbelievable, actually, to go from that high all the way down to 25. Yeah.
Yep. And we also just got a big transfer today also. Our defensive coordinator, Nick Holt, his son was still at Western Kentucky. He announced he's going to transfer to Purdue.
What position was that?
He's a linebacker, and we've recruited a linebacker a couple of years. got people that going to come in this year, but Marcus Bailey graduates after this year, and we still are pretty lacking at linebacker depth. So this is going to be pretty good.
All right. Well, listen, man. I think that if you're a Purdue fan, you got to be. I mean, listen, you got to find something to get excited about. Listen, I give Purdue a hard time, but I mean, they really have been one of the teams in college football that's made leaps and bounds over the past couple of years. I think you got a great coach. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the fan base is very great and dedicated. We saw that this past year, and you guys are able to pretty much knock off anybody on any given day. I mean, just look at what happened to Ohio State. You guys absolutely trounced them. But I mean, listen, there's a lot to be excited about if you're a Purdue fan right now, and I still don't think that you guys have a chance to win the Big Ten. But who knows, right? Anything can happen. I might be wrong. You still might be the best team in the West, as far as I'm concerned. This year, I don't know.
This year, probably not.
I mean, but who in the West would be better?
I mean, if it'd be anybody, it'd be Wisconsin, especially since we can't beat them. It's been since like 2004 when we last beat Wisconsin.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't believe. I mean, Wisconsin, they're so schizophrenic. Who knows what they're going to do from year to year? All it takes is one, magical season, one great year, and Wisconsin can just be average like they are, whatever, 8 out of every 10 years, and yeah, you might win the West. And then if you get yourself in a position where you're playing for a Big Ten title game, then you're in a one-game situation where you actually can win the Big Ten. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but all I'm saying is it's possible. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you calling in. I have another guy that's been holding on the line for about 6 minutes, so I'm gonna pick up the phone on him. But listen, anytime you want to call in and talk about Purdue or anything else, it's much appreciated, sir. Thank you for the call.
All right. See you.
All right, man. All right, Big D is up next. He's a Falcons fan, and he wants to talk about ham sandwiches. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. This is Falcons Fury. All right. What's up, Falcons Fury? How you doing, sir?
Hey, what's up, Pete? How you doing, man?
You typed your name or said in the call-in studio that your name was Big D. I was thinking this guy might actually be named Big D. Well, maybe that is your name. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about there, bud.
Oh, well, that's what it says on my screen. Anyway, what's up? So, how many?
Okay. Well,
how many ham sandwiches have you had today, sir?
Let's see. I had one with eggs for breakfast. Lunch I had 2 with some mayonnaise, and I'm probably gonna have one more before dinner tonight. So I think we're at 4.
There is such thing as eating too much pork, right?
No.
All right, man.
Especially not if it's between 2 slices of bread.
All right. I'll take your word for it. You might be the first guy in the history of the world to actually overdose on ham. I mean, that would be amazing.
No, it gives me superpowers, Pete. I don't know if you do that or not.
Oh, well, maybe I should try that then. All right, so you want to? It says it from your description here. You want to talk about obviously ham sandwiches, which we just did, and Florida's recruiting class. So Florida came in at number 9 nationally, and
yeah, who we did.
I think whenever I had you on the show a couple of weeks ago, what did we project? Like 11 or 10 at that time?
Yeah, I said it right around top 10.
Okay, right
around that 10 spot.
So number 9, that means you guys must have got a couple of late commits that you weren't expecting and moved you up a notch or 2, or maybe somebody else just crapped the bed and fell behind you. I don't know. Maybe Clemson was one of them. I don't know because Clemson came in at number 10.
Yeah. So, the day before signing day, we sort of were in the mix for 4 guys. The one I was most confident on was Kyer Elam out of Florida. Georgia tried to push for him late by stealing our defensive backs coach. They failed epically at that. So he committed to Florida. But the real surprise was Chris Bogle. He's been committed to Alabama for, I think, since the All-American game, so like a month now or something like that. And yesterday he flipped to Florida. So I think the loss of Alabama's coach on the defensive side of the ball had a lot to do with that. So that was what put us in the top 10 pretty much.
All right, so obviously you're happy that that's the first time you guys have been in that high since 2014 is what somebody said in the chat. So,
yeah, it's been 5 years.
Right. Okay. So which player, and not just in the signing day yesterday, but in the entire recruiting class for 2019, just give me one, maybe two players that everyone's going to know about in the next couple of years. Who's the best players that you recruited this year?
Well, I'll start off on the defensive side. So I think we might have the best linebacker class in the nation. We signed, I believe, 3 top 100 linebackers and 4 top 150 linebackers. The one that I'm pretty excited about is Tyron Hopper. He showed out at the All-American game. He has a great frame. He's really fast. He has decent ball skills. And I think he'll do great under, Dan Mullen and the defense we run. He's pretty versatile. That's what we look for. So I think he'll be making plays pretty soon. Another guy to look out for would probably be Jalen Jones. He's a quarterback. He's not very highly rated. I believe he's like the 8th dual threat quarterback in this class. He is a 4-star. But what intrigues me about him is his athletic ability. He runs like a 4.4. He has a big arm, and so I think if Dan Mullen can get him to, get a hold of the offense, I think he could be a real star.
Where'd you say he was from?
I think he's from Maryland, I want to say.
Okay. Wow, that's a weird place.
Yeah.
That's a weird place to get a dual threat quarterback from. But
yeah, it seems like a lot of these guys have just come from random places. But I think they've had a previous relationship. He recruited him at Mississippi State,
right?
So that sort of makes a little bit of sense there. So I think that's that's how we end up picking him up.
And you'll like this,
No, he's from Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, actually.
Yeah, Virginia, Maryland, same thing, pretty much. But what's funny?
Yeah, pretty much.
What's funny about that is that. So Florida State is obviously someone that you hate, and most people hate. So Florida State has not signed a quarterback in the past 2 recruiting classes, right? Well, the one that they've been recruiting for the past...
Pete, I've known this, and I've told every FSU fan on Twitter that as well.
So the quarterback that they had been recruiting hard for the past year and a half, since Willie Taggart got there, basically, he was from Louisiana. I can't remember the guy's name, and somebody can maybe type it in the chat or whatever. But
Sam Howell, is it Sam Howell?
That might be who it was. And he only got recruited for.
Yeah, he went to North Carolina. Yeah.
No, the guy that went to Maryland yesterday. He went to Maryland.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's somebody else.
Yeah, so
they've missed on so many quarterbacks. I can't keep up. Pete.
Yeah, so Maryland recruited this guy for 10 days and got him to sign. And Florida State's been recruiting this guy for over a year now. So, I mean, Florida State is just...
I think, my hope was that Willie Taggart would have a respectable off-season start here and stay for, at least 2 or 3 more years, but it's looking like that's not going to happen.
Well, I mean, the thing is that Willie Taggart was never known as a great X's and O's guy. His whole... The whole reason they
and I try to tell people that too.
The whole reason they hired him is because of recruiting. That's what he got hired for. Is because and he's not doing so great so far in recruiting.
Yeah, that's what I try to tell Florida State fans and just college fans in general. He recruited well, but I mean, look at his record. I mean, you can't just look at recruiting. You got to look at what they've done on this field, too. I mean, if I'm hiring a coach, I'm looking for, first of all, what you've done on the field before recruiting. I mean, don't get me wrong, recruiting is really important. You're not winning anything significant in college football without recruiting, but you're not winning anything at all if you're not a good coach.
Well, so Florida State ended 16th in the rankings, which, I mean, is respectable. I mean, Eddie.
Don't let that fool you.
No. Let me finish. I'm saying 16 is respectable for most schools, right? But not for Florida State. There's the Florida State fan base, and anybody in Tallahassee, they expect a top 10 recruiting class every single year for Florida State. So 16 in Florida State standards, I mean, you may as well be 40th. Now, here's like you just said, they could even drop further. And if you're a Florida State fan right now, you got to be very worried that you can't get a quarterback in there. Very, very worried. And you can't get offensive linemen either. And that's been the reason. That's the reason no quarterbacks want to come there, is because they don't want to get their block knocked off, because they haven't had an offensive line in 5 years now. So, yeah, it's pretty worrisome what's going on down there in Tallahassee. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not going to give up on the guy yet, but I'm pretty close to doing it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty embarrassing. I mean, so you go 5-7, you know, and usually this is the time of, you know, the coaches early in their career with a new school where they can say, you know, it's not my fault what happened. You know, it was the previous coach's players. They can sort of spin that and get a decent recruiting class, right? But he got worse. You know, last year FSU was ranked about, I believe, 11th.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're 16th, and if the safety they have Nick Cross flips to Penn State, like I think he will, and a lot of people do, they might go down to like 20th, I think, and that's down there with Miami, you know, and that's just terrible.
And I don't want to listen. I think that so Jimbo Fisher, he did leave that place in shambles. Let's not forget that. So it's not all Willie Taggart's fault, but some of it's definitely his fault, because, I mean, it's one thing to go from winning 10 games a year every year that Jimbo Fisher's there, and recruiting in a top 5 class every single year that Jimbo Fisher's there, and competing for the ACC every single year that Jimbo Fisher's there, to not making a bowl game in one season. But it's a whole other thing to rebuild a program that somebody left in shambles. So that's the only reason. I'm giving everyone else is giving up on Willie Taggart, man. Everyone's jumped ship on the guy. This guy's getting crucified in the media, and I've been crucifying him on my YouTube channel and even on this phone conversation with you. But I'm still giving the guy a 10% chance or 10% leeway. Let's put it that way. That he you know maybe needs a little bit more than 1 or 2 years to rebuild that dumpster fire that he inherited. You know.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know. Jim McElwain, the dang freaking shark humper, he didn't leave Florida with, you know, a great talent pool either. I mean, Willie Taggart had talent. Now, was the recruiting, you know, on par? No, but he already had talent. So I mean, I don't. The coach at that point, it comes down to coaching.
The end game coaching was as bad as I've ever seen before. I mean, how many penalties did they have by having 13 guys on the field, or not enough guys on the field? Or I mean, it was just
Pete.
It was so bad.
Our safety, when we played Florida State, our safety was helping them. He was letting them know, hey guys, you got a player short. Like what?
Yeah,
that's pretty sad.
And that's alarming. I mean, that's alarming. And so that does fall on Willie Taggart. It might not have been, you know, it may have been of one of the defensive coordinators or one of the position coaches' fault that happened. But at the end of the day, if your position coaches and your coordinators are shit in the bed, that falls on you when you're the head coach. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see what. Again, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reserve judgment. I'm not going to expect them to win the ACC, because that's not happening. If they win somehow 8 games, then I'll give this guy a chance. But anything less than winning 8 games this year, and I'm on the fire Willie Taggart train if I'm a Florida State fan.
I mean, and it's not like no offense, you know, because I know Clemson is a great team, but most other teams in that division are just that division is not very hard. It's pretty easy.
Well, it's the tougher of the two. It's the tougher of the 2 divisions in the ACC, but that's not saying much. So, no, I agree with you.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, man, listen, thanks for the call. I'm going to get off the phone calls here so I can wrap up. I got a couple more very important things to say before I get off the stream here. But, hey, every time...
man, thank you for taking my call, and have a good day.
Yeah, you too, man. Thank you.
Yep, bye.
Every time Falcons Fury calls in, it's always interesting, and he always is intelligent enough to carry a conversation and let me know what's going on. So thank you, Falcons Fury. Hold on. I got one more call here. I was about to get off this call and think, but I'll take this one last call real quick. It's coming from 865 number. Good afternoon. You're on with Pete.
Hello, sir. My name is Chris Hegel. I'm Florida Gator BTS. I'm actually here to talk about Florida's recruiting and what the future of FSU looks like.
The future of UF or FSU?
FSU.
Okay. All right. So I just had that conversation with Falcons Fury, but I'll entertain this for a minute. Go ahead and tell me about how. So Florida came in at number 9. I just went over this with him, but so are you happy with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I think in 2017 we finished 11th, and I think in 2018 we finished 14th. So this is definitely like being in the top 10 is definitely a plus for us.
No, I'd say so. So,
sorry.
So that's all right. So tell me, because I just went through all the recruiting stuff with the last guy. I mean, I don't mean to. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I just don't want to repeat myself for the viewers here and say the same thing over and over again. So let's talk about something maybe a little bit more compelling. So where do you see Florida finishing in the East, number 1, and in the SEC, based on who you have coming back, the recruiting class you have this year, Dan Mullen's second year, the whole 9 yards?
Oh man, it's tough because the two teams that really are in the way for the SEC are LSU and Georgia. Those are two of the biggest teams that we have to worry about. Going on the road to LSU, advancing the Georgia team, which might be one of the best in a while, but I think Florida does finish second. I think they only lose 2 or 1 games in the SEC.
And who would they be to?
I think they would beat Georgia close, but I think Coach Orgeron has something brewing in LSU that is really good. The 29-0 loss to Alabama did hurt him, but I think Orgeron, because he faces Texas, I do believe in Austin. Do correct me if I'm wrong on that. So if he could beat Texas, and beat Alabama, I think he would definitely beat Florida, but I think that would be Florida's only loss.
Right. So exactly, and I'm just trying to figure out where you're coming from, and
yeah.
So what exactly makes you so confident that you're going to beat Georgia this year?
I think it's because of the biggest loss for Georgia this year, I think, was losing one of the running backs. I can't remember his name for the life of me, but I think Georgia, because Georgia is a very conservative offense, and they really showed that against Texas. And I think playing conservative against a team that is going to be just as aggressive as they were last year, I think that will hurt Georgia more. But they have the talent to win. Florida's defense, I think, is not one of the best in the SEC, but it's up there in the top 3.
The top 3 of the entire SEC?
Oh no, in the SEC East. No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
Top 5 in the SEC.
Okay, I got you. So I'll tell you, just like I told Falcons Fury. And listen, I'm not. Anything can happen, man. I don't want to feel like I'm being negative or anything. But I still think that Florida is at least a year away, maybe 2, from toppling Georgia, if that even happens. But I don't. I'd be surprised. Listen, I'd be shocked if Georgia did win the East this year. But again, Florida moving up in the rankings. I think Dan Mullen is, out of these last 3 coaches you've had, he's the best one at all.
Yeah.
So we can agree there. He's recruiting well. I think he's a great in-game coach. Maybe one of the best in the SEC as far as just in-game coaching. I'm not talking about out-of-game coaching. But so I think that you guys are headed in the right direction. But I still think it's a little bit wishful thinking to think that you guys are going to surpass Georgia this coming year.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's holding Florida back from being a legitimate – I mean, they're a great team, But better teams have better quarterbacks, like Clemson with Trevor Lawrence, Georgia with Jake Fromm, players who are very consistent.
Hold on, sir. Don't put Jake Fromm and Trevor Lawrence in the same sentence, sir. They don't belong on the same planet.
Oh yeah, my bad. My bad. Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Common mistake. It's all right.
Yeah. It's like, I think for Florida, the problem in the past has been quarterbacks, totally. But
yeah.
I think it's because Dan Mullen's known as the quarterback guru. It definitely showed because Felipe had 24 passing touchdowns compared to his 8 the previous year.
Right.
And I think in the progression showing, but I think Felipe, in order for him to be a better quarterback, he has to be more consistent. As long as he's more consistent, I think Florida has a chance to pull off wins against Georgia.
Yeah.
But if he's not consistent, I don't see it.
Yeah, I believe they definitely have a chance. And I think that really this year you'll probably see Florida play a much more contested game, for 4 quarters against Georgia than they have in the past few years. And listen, anything look, when you see teams like Pitt in 2015 beat Clemson and Syracuse beat Clemson 2 years ago and almost beat them again this year. And I'm not saying that Florida is or Pitt or Syracuse, obviously a much better team than that. But my point is anything can happen on any given Saturday. So I'm not saying that Florida can't beat Georgia. I just think that as a whole, right now, as far as the East goes, it's Georgia's at least a step, maybe a step and a half above the next tier, which Florida would probably be the closest thing that's to them right now. But I think again, I think we're about a year, maybe 2 at the most, away from seeing a changing of the guard there. Even if that even happens, because Georgia doesn't look like they're going anywhere. It's just going to be can Florida match what they're doing overall?
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, I agree, and it makes it tough too because, like you mentioned on one of the phone calls, Texas A&M they're ranked in the top 5 in recruiting. You called that. You got LSU as well, Georgia, Alabama, teams like that. Even though they're in the West, it does pose a bigger competition if Florida were to play Texas A&M next year or LSU this year. I think the SEC is tougher to decide in the West than it is the East. I think Georgia does still win the division, but I think it's close, but not too close.
Yeah, Georgia's got a tough schedule this year. So does Florida. With LSU getting better, and I know you guys play them every year. Luckily for Florida, though, Florida State's not looking good right now. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because that was a very tough game for you guys for a while in the past few years when Jimbo was there. I know Jimbo had a big time winning record against Florida. But he's gone. He's gone, and Florida State's gone to the crapper. And the big game, Week 1 against Miami. Who's winning that game, sir?
It's tough because Mark Ritt, when he left Miami, I know a lot of people were making jokes like, "Oh, he's scared of Florida." I don't think that was the reason. I think Florida wins is close. In-state games always are so close, whether it's the opening season, whether it's the closing season. I think it's because of the depth that Florida has on defense. I think it does help because I think Miami got a transfer from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
At a quarterback position.
Yes.
I think he would give them a boost, but I think the secondary just causes too much problem for Miami. I think Florida does win it close, though.
Yeah, Miami's quarterback transfer was from Tate Martell from Ohio State, but I'm not sure that he's going to get a waiver or not. I don't know about that. But that's a neutral site game. That's basically a Florida home game, right? Week 1, because it's much closer to Gainesville than it is to Miami. And I don't know. That's going to be one I'm definitely interested in seeing. I think that most of the country, college football nuts, are going to be tuning into that game. That's definitely one of the more intriguing matchups Week 1. And so we'll see.
Oh yeah,
we'll see.
Oh yeah, and the reason why I'm kind of sketchy about that game is because Florida started the season, I think, in 2013 against Miami, an unranked Miami team, Florida was coming off that loss to Lousville in the Sugar Bowl, and Florida just got beat. He got beat on both sides of the ball. Of course, at that time, Jack Driscoll wasn't really himself. But this is a different Florida team compared to the past Gator teams. So I think because of how well Florida has been doing, I think they get a slight edge. I think it's going to be like a 27-20 kind of game.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's a good prediction. But listen, I could talk all day about this, but I got to get off because I got to end the stream. But thank you for calling in. And please, in the future, since you're able to put sentences together without stumbling or calling me an idiot, then you're welcome to call in anytime, sir. Thank you. You're amazing and fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me on here. I appreciate it.
All right, man.
All right.
All right, so there you have it, folks. A couple of consecutive Florida fans calling in. And so Florida is big excited about their upcoming season and their top 10 recruiting class, and as they should be. I think they finished in recruiting higher than most people thought they would. And I know that Miami fans are very, very salty about Florida right now because they're sitting in the 30s in recruiting, and Florida just catapults their way up in the top 10. So anyway, listen, I was going to go through 10. I think I stopped at Florida before these guys called in. And the top 25 rankings, and I'd love to continue talking about 10 through 25, but I just don't have time because I got too many calls, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. Thank you. You're all amazing. You're all fantastic. Thank you to all the super chats, the entertainer talking sports. I'll be getting with you, sir, about collaborating. Obviously, Catfish from the Volunteer Roadshow coming through with a super chat, and my man Spencer from Rover Sports. Everybody in the chat, sorry if I was, obviously I was on the phone. I normally, on a normal stream, when I'm not taking phone calls, will do as much as I can to answer questions and interact with people in the chat. But obviously I can't do that when I'm talking to somebody on the phone because I'm not a cyborg. I can only do one thing at one time. But thank you all for coming in. You're all great. And I will see you guys for a stream probably sometime this weekend for a late night beer drinking stream as I've been trying to do every weekend. So thank you. You're all amazing. Have a great day. Pigskin Pete. Check it out.